Fascinating, because you say it all the time, right? You say this all the time. We said yesterday, we're up to Daf Yomi Yoma, and we're up to the two dots, but we're not going to do this yet because it's a little early. So we're simply going to go ahead, stop this, and we're going to go ahead and do something else, okay? So I jumped the gun. It said that the Kohen Gadol, he would kartzoi, and then someone else would finish it. So I define kartzu as the shchita of roiv simonim, because again, on Yom Kippur, all the avodah has to be done with the Kohen Gadol. So Memela, he's going to have to do Kabbalah as well. If he would finish the shchita, it would be difficult for him to go ahead and quickly go ahead, do the shchita and do the Kabbalah. So by doing the shchita roiv shnayim, most of the simonim of the kana and the veshet, it would be able to give him time to go do the shchita, halachic shchita, but the blood's not flowing out yet, and then go ahead and catch it. And it says somebody else would go ahead and finish the shchita al yado. So we're up to Lamed Beis Amid Beis, Lamed Beis Amid Beis. We're before we get about 8 lines up. Evilu es atamid kartzu. My kartzu. What's the word kartzu mean? So amaula lishna de katalahu. It's a lashon of killing. Amar of Nachman Yitzchak Mikra. Where do we see it's a lashon of killing? It says egla yefei pira Mitzrayim keretz mitzafain. It says the lashon of keretz mitzafain ba. Keretz, the killers mitzafain ba. My mashma kitim b'tagim regaisiv malka yoyehu Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim is a nice melech. Yoy is a nice kingdom. Amamim katulim mitzvayna. But a murderous nation will come from the north. Yasin Allah to go on them. And that is, of course, the Chaldeans, the Babylonians. Kartzu bekama, how much do you do? You kill it, how much are you doing? So Ma'ula, B'roiv Shnayim, do the majority of 2. B'roiv Shnayim, you do the majority of 2. Chena Rav Yochanan, B'roiv Shnayim, you do the majority of 2. If you have Reish Lakish Sava B'roiv Shnayim, also Reish Lakish holds the majority of 2 simanim. The Amr Reish Lakish, when we learn by Chulin, guys, Rubai Shal Echad Kamayu, when it says that if you do roiv of one of the simanim, of the kana or the veshet, the trachea or the esophagus, is the same thing as you do the whole thing. Lama shnina roiv echad ba'oif, roiv shnayim b'behema. Why repeat it? It says well, lefish shaninu hevilu esat tamid, because they bring the kohen gadol, the carbon tamid, kartzu umerik achash shchit al yadoi, v'kibel esadam v'zarku yachaloi merak. I might think that what if you don't finish it, you hate puzzle, yachaloi merak, you hate puzzle. In other words, let's say the Kohen Gadol did not finish the shchita, and someone else would finish it. It can't be that what the Kohen Gadol has to do all the action. So it has to be that he shechted it. So if he would, let's say, go ahead and do to the halfway point, and another person would complete the shchita, at the point of the completion of the shchita, that's when it's considered geshachtim. So the avodah would be done through 2 people. And it says, Tanya, so it says, I might think it's possible the Rabbanan, since the whole reason he's shechting is for the dam. And when we say roiv, maybe that's only by chulin. But by chulin, you don't need the blood, you just need the shchita. By kachim, over here, you need the blood. So I would say, when do you do roiv shnayim? That's only what? By chulin. But by kachim, I'd say not. Amid Aleph, l'kach shaninu, roiv echad b'oif, roiv shnayim b'behema. Right? Therefore, we learn an extra mishnah in chulin to tell us one for chulin, one for kachim, that the same halacha that applies by chulin, that a roiv of shnayim is considered a shchita, who are then by kachim, roiv shnayim is again is a shchita. And again, it's a very, very interesting svara. By shchita, by geshacht and chulin, the purpose is for what? Is to eat the animal. But over here, by the carbon tummy, you're not eating the animal. I need a shchita, but the purpose is for the dam. We all know that the carbon, by now we know in kachim, the whole avodah is in the dam, right? All avodah is in the dam. So therefore, I would think that maybe roiv shnayim, since you don't get most of the blood, doesn't work. Kamash malon that it does work. So why do you have to complete it? Just do, if roiv shnayim is a shchita, why are you completing it? And for the Gemara, mitzvah l'merik. It's a mitzvah to go ahead and be merik, because again, like this, you get out all the blood. Like this, you get out all the blood. Now we say, if you say karbanis every day, we say Abaya Masad Maracha Mishmei the Gemara. Right? You say Abaya was Masad Maracha Mishmei the Gemara. Now, if you think what you're saying, you don't have a problem. If you think what you're saying, you have a big problem. Guys, Abaya lived well after the Churban Bayis. Abaya was an Amoira. Even in this man, the latter Tanoim, the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed. So Abaya is living way afterwards. So it can't be Abaya is being Mesaderit. So you have to stel sich that Mishmei the Gemara. Says Rashi, 4 lines down. Mana, Abaya is counting. Say the avodas, the order of the avodah shall kol yom v'yom. He's not telling you what happened. He's going ahead and giving a hierarchy. He's giving you the order of what happened. Mishmei the Gemara, the Kuli Yeshiva, the Rabbanan, the Beit Midrasha. This was like the accepted in the Yeshiva. This is what went on there. So we have Abaya is giving us the order. Abaya is giving us the whole order of what went on. Balibid Abishol. Now, fellas, we met Abishol. I'll tell you when. We saw that there was an avodah that took place when they would do the Hatavas Haneros. They would first do 5, and then they would do 2. And something transpired in between. Like the first opinion, I forgot who it was the Ketairis. Like the second opinion, Abishol, it was the Dam of the Tamid. And the Ketairis took place after all 7. So again, the order we're getting now is Abishol's order, where the Ketairis did not take place between the 5 and the 2, but the Ketairis took place after the 7. So that's what it means. Abaya misadam amrach mishmei the Gemara aliba the Abishol, because like Abishol holds only after the Hatavas and Neris did you do the Ketairis. Like the other man, the Yama, that took place before. Now, the whole rest of the Gemara is going to be listing it and giving the reason for it. So I have a wonderful, wonderful chart that I found, and I even set it up that I can even share it with you quickly. How is that? You all can see it, correct? Yes, you see it? Please tell me you see it.
Yes, perfect. Yes.
Okay, so guys, going down the list, you have 15. Let's go through it. Maracha Gedoyla is before the Maracha Shniya Shel Ketairis. The Maracha Gedoyla was the main pyre where you would burn the karbanis. The Shniya Shel Ketairis was a subsidiary that was used for the coals that you'd bring in, put on the Mizbeach HaPnimi, the golden Mizbeach, and you place the Ketairis on top of that. See the Shnei Gizrei Eitzim, the putting of the Shnei Gizrei Eitzim, you would put that on top of the Maracha Gedoyla. You would then do Dishim Mizbeach HaPnimi, you'd clean off the golden Mizbeach. Then you would clean out the 5 Neiros. Then, this is Abishol right here, you would do the Dam Tamid. And after that, you would finish off and do the other 2 Neiros. Then the Ketairis. That's the Abishol. According to the other Mandiyama guys, this Ketairis went in the place of the Dam Tamid. You put it in the slot. It was the Ketairis that was mafsik between these 2. Loid Abishol, it's the Dam Tamid, and here's the key. The Ketairis takes place after all 7. 5, 2, 7. That's why it's a liba the Abishol. Only according to Abishol does the Ketairis take place after the 7. According to the other Tana, it took place between the 5 and the 2. Then the 9th avodah was the Ivarim the Tamid. Then you brought the carbon, the mincha, that was the minchas the sachim, that was the flour that accompanied the carbon tamid. Then the Kohen Gadol would bring the minchas chavitin that he brought, 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon. Then you do the libation of wine that accompanied the carbon tamid. Then you bring on Shabbos the carbon musaf, and on Yontif as well. Then you would burn the vazichin of lechem apanim, which matted the lechem apanim for the kahanim, 6 to 1's going in, 6 to the 1's going out, and then, or 7 or 5, depends. And then the Tamid Shalabbein Abayim, that was the last thing. And our whole Gemara, guys, is going to go through this column. Our whole Gemara is to go, how do you know this goes before this, and so on and so forth, okay? So it's all limudim. That's the whole Gemara today. It's all limudim to explain this order. So first the Gemara is going to bring in this order, then it's going to explain one by one. I'll leave it open so we can refer back to it if we need. Guys, you all set? It was a good hakdama. Says the Gemara. Abaya misada maracha mishmei the Gemara balibid Abishol. Abaya was misada the maracha in the name of the Gemara according to Abishol. Maracha gedoyla kredemis maracha shniya shel ketairis. Right, that came first, and then came second is the shniya shel ketairis. Shniya shel ketairis koydem l'sida shnei gizrei eitzim. Sida Shnei Gizrei Eitzim Koidim LeDishim Mizbeach HaPnimi. Dishim Mizbeach HaPnimi Koidim LeHatavish Chamesh Neiros. VeHatavish Chamesh Neiros Koidim LeDam HaTamid. VeDam HaTamid Koidim LeHatavish Shtei Neiros, the other two. VeHatavish Shtei Neiros Koidim LeKetoris. And now the Ketoris is after all 7. That's why it's a Liba Dabishol. Because again, according to the other Tama, Ketoris is between the 5 and the 2. The Ketoris Koidim LeIvarim. The Ketoris came before the burning of the limbs. Ve'varim lemincha came before the minchas nesachim, which is made of flour. Minchas nesachim came before chavitim. The chavitim lenesachim. Chavitim came before the libation of wine. The nesachim musafin, then musafim came before musaf. Musafin lebazichin, and musaf came before the frankincense that was burnt to mat lechem upon him. Umazichin tamishal ben abayim. Total wad of 15. A total of 15. I'm thinking, maybe I should just leave the screen open like this. I'm basically, I do this so I can see all of you. But I guess for your sake, it would just be better to have looking at this, right? You see me anyway, right? You see me anyway, right? So you see me, and I'll have the screen open like this. We can refer to as we go along, okay? Now, going down the list. Tamid Shel ben Abayib, Shenemar, we're on. And you should burn on it the chelve ashlamim. Guys, this is the last thing that it's it's the last thing. How do you know everything comes before this? Because the last thing is Tamishal ben Abayim. The pasuk says v'hikter aleha chelve ashlamim. You should burn on it the fats of the shlamim. Allah hishlim kol karbanis kulan. On it was mashlim the whole karbanis. So we're dashing the lashon of shlamim, the lashon of shalem. This was the karban tamid was mashlim. Again, it's not a shlamim; it's an oila. So why does he use lashon chevle shlamim to tell you shlamim from lashon shalem? This made the days avodah complete, guys. This made the days avodah complete, and therefore we just ascertained that this is last. And now we're going to go back to the top and take each one by one. Amamar again, it means we're going over the brisa. Maracha gedola koidemis l'maracha shniya shel ketayris. Right, the first comes the big maracha, then comes the subsidiary maracha. Minalon, where do you know that from? The Tanya. It says here oila al moikda, the oila should be on its pyre al mizbeach kol halayla. So what is that? Which oila? Which moikda? Which pyre? Zu marachas gedola. That's the big maracha. That's the big pyre. Then the pasuk says, "Ve'esham mizbeach tukad boy," and the esham mizbeach should be kindled on it. Zuma racha shniya shel ketayris. So therefore, we have an order over here. Now racha comes first because you look at the chart, guys. Here oila al moikda mizbeach kol halayla, and it says what? This is the oila al moikda. That is the maracha gedola. That's the maracha gedola. And it says, and then it says ve'esham mizbeach tukad boy, and therefore that's the Fred the Gemara of Eipachana. Let's switch it around. Let's say Beis comes before Aleph. Let's say the Maracha Shniyah should come before this. It says, well, no, that makes no sense. Mistabra Maracha Gedoyla Adifa. Mistabra to say, if I have my druthers to put the big one or the little one first, I'm going to put the big one first. Shekain Kaparas and Meruba. Most of Haktarais, most of the burnings take place on this. So most of the Kapara takes place on this. Adarabba. Maracha Shniya Adifa, Shekain Machnis Mimenu Lifnim. The Maracha Shniya has a chumrah. The coals on that mizbeach, the charcoal, the wood that becomes charcoal, will be nichnis inside the heichel and placed on the mizbeach hapnimi. So good, this first one has more kaparis, but the second one has a maila. It's going to go inside, as opposed to the first one that's going to remain outside. So the Gemara answers, "Afilu hachi kaparas maruba adifa." Nonetheless, kaparas maruba, the amount of kapara that you get is better. That is better, even though what you're going to bring the other one inside, it's still better. Right? If you don't have coal on the small one, aren't you going to bring coals from the big one? In Cain, the big one also has shaykhs to inside, guys, right? You're going to bring the coals inside from the big one. If your whole mila of the second one over the first one was the fact that it goes inside, there are times the first one also goes inside when you don't have enough coals on the small one. So Mela, it's not a Maila. Not only is it Kapamarasa Maruba, in addition, it goes inside as well. So the Chumrah of the small one is not a Chumrah. The inside one also, the large one also sometimes goes inside. So that's why Maracha Gedola goes before Maracha Shniya. Maracha Shniya Shal Keteris Koydem L'Sida Shnei Gizrei Eisim. Base comes before Gimel, guys. On the chart, Maracha Shniya Shal Keteris comes before Shida Shnei Gizrei Eisim. Minale, what do you know? Dichsiv, it says, Ubir Allah HaKayin, Eitzim Baboiker Baboiker. Here you got it on the chart. Ubir Allah HaKayin, the Kayin will burn on it, Eitzim Baboiker Baboiker. Now it says Aleha, V'lo Yalchavei Rasa. So when you're burning on the Marach Gedola, you're burning what? The Shnei Gizrei Eitzim on it, but not on its friend. So guys, look, number 3, I'm putting on number 1, but I have a limud. Ubir aleha, I'm burning on it, the Marach Gedola, good? And not on the Marach Shniya. So obviously the Marach Shniya must be before the Shnei Gizrei Eitzim. When I need a limud to tell me the 2 logs go on the larger one rather than the smaller one, Mechlal, the smaller one is in existence. So you have a raya that the Shniya Shel Ketairis precedes what? The Shnei Gizrei Eitzim. Right? It's very, very geschmack, right? Very geschmack. Again, where does the Shnei Gizrei Eitzim go? Where do they go? It says, Ubir Aleha Kayin, on it, meaning the Marach Gedola, and not in the Marach Shniya. So you see that there is a Shniya before the Shnei Gizrei Eitzim. V'hayallah mi boile l'gufei. Fred the Gemara, I need it for itself. This is important. I need the letter to tell me the 2 Gizrei Eitzim go on the Marach Gedola, right? Well, how do I have an extra for a limud? It says, it says in the Parsha, it says twice aleha. It says, Ubir aleha kayin ve'orach aleha. It says, Ubir aleha ve'orach aleha. So you have 2 alehas. One aleha to tell me location where it goes, and the second one to tell me on it and not on its friend. So now we know these 3. We know Maracha goes first, this, and the Shnei Gizrei Eitzim. Now, number Gimel before Dalit, how do you know that? Shnei Gizrei Eitzim koydem l'dishim mizbeach hapnimi. How do you know number 3 goes before number 4? Af agav the hocha k'siv baboiker baboker. Even though by both it says baboiker baboiker. Af agav the hocha k'siv baboiker baboiker. It says ve'orach aleha baboiker baboiker. Hocha k'siv baboiker baboiker. Afilu hachi machshir odif. Even though it says baboiker baboiker by the Be'tivas Haneros, it says, guys, by the Ketairis, Baboiker Baboiker, it says the Shnei Gizizim Baboiker Baboiker. So since they're equal, there's 2 Baboikers by both. Now, Baboiker Baboiker would mean to be Magdim. When it says a double Lashon Boiker, I would think it goes earlier. But now I have an other factor. What's the other factor? Read it. It's right over here. Machshir Odif. The fact that the Shnei Gizrei Eitzim is a Machshir. It's Machshir, the burning of the Ketairis. So therefore, it comes what? Before Dishim Mizbeach HaPanimi, right? Machshem Maininu, Shnei Gizrei Eitzim. I vam Shnei Gizrei Eitzim LaMaracha Gedola Azli. They go to Maracha Gedola. So guys, here's the problem. Guys, look. Gimbal's coming before Dalid is because this is Machshir. And what? But it's Machshir Mizbeach Panimi. But one second. The Mizbeach HaPanimi has its own Maracha. The Shnei Gizrei Eitzim is coming from the top Maracha. So this Gimel is not a preparatory step for Dalid. Again, for Dalid, you need a preparatory step. In other words, you need coals to burn the Ketores. Good? Where are you getting those coals from? The Havamina is from the Shnei Gizrei Eitzim. But one second. The Shnei Gizrei Eitzim are not taken from this one, the second one. They're taken from the first one. So they're not the preparatory step for number Dalid. It's not preparing to burn the Ketores. And for the Gemara, Rav Yirmiyah, Shum Eitzim. It has the name Shum Eitzim. In other words, you're right. The Eitzim are coming from this one. But Ein Nachinami, the name Eitzim comes first. Since Eitzim is a preparatory for Shnei Lishon Mizbeach, it's a Machshir, it's stronger. The Machshir is stronger. Ravina gives a different reason why Shnei Gizrei Eitzim comes before the Hatav Shnei, the Dishon Mizbeach HaPanimi. Since you began the maracha, look, you did this, you did this. It makes sense to finish the maracha rather than skip to the avodah. This would this would require you to walk in beside the heichel and clean off the golden mizbeach. This, you're setting up the maracha already. This one and this one, go finish the maracha. It's a svara. It's not a lima. It's a svara. Go ahead, take the two logs and throw it on this one. Therefore, it would take priority. So you have two pshatim, either because machshir is adif, or because practically it makes sense to finish the maracha before you begin a totally new avodah. A third teretz, Rav Ashi Amar. A third teretz why the Shnei Gizrei Eitzim comes before the Dishim Mizbeach HaPanimi. Iloi Mishk Eitzim L'Maracha Shniya Iloi Mayal Me'aracha Gedoyla. If you would not find Eitzim from, if you want to find Eitzim from this one, you would take from this one, right? Maracha Gedoyla. So therefore, what do you see, right? Therefore, it's a machshav of Ketores. Guys, you want to know why the Shnei Gizrei Eitzim comes before this? Because we need wood on the Mizbeach. We need wood to provide coals for the Mizbeach HaPnimi. If you don't have enough on Beis, you're going to go to Aleph. And where does the wood come from Aleph? It comes from Gimel. So again, three terutzim as to why Gimel precedes Dalet. Why the Shnei Gizrei Eitzim comes before the Mizbeach HaPnimi. Either because Hechsher is stronger, or Svara to finish the Maracha, or because it's a mat, right? Because you would need the Shnei Gizrei Eitzim in order to facilitate coals from the Mizbeach HaPnimi. Okay. For Dishim Mizbeach HaPnimi, Koidel Matavas Chamesh Neiros. 4 comes before 5 now. 4 is coming before 5. Dishim Mizbeach HaPnimi comes before cleaning out the 5 Neiros. My timer. Amabaya Gemor Gemirna. Svara Lo Yadana. I have a Messiah. I have a Messiah that they did that. The Rabbi is the one who's being Mesader. I have a Messiah. I do not have a reason. I don't have a reason why Dalet comes before Hey. I do not have a reason. Rava Amar Kresh Lakish. Rava says like Reish Lakish to Amar, Ein Ma'virin ala mitzvahs. You don't pass by a mitzvah. Guys, you're walking into the Heichel. Let's picture this. On the south side is the menorah. On the north side is the shulchan. Each one 2.5 amas off the wall. And klape mizrach, towards you, smack in the middle, is the mizbeach hapnimi. You have a kasha. Why does Dishim mizbeach hapnimi take place before taking care of the neiros? Because you're going to hit the mizbeach before you hit the menorah, since it's closer. The aim avirin ala mitzvahs. You can't pass by a mitzvah. Therefore, you clean the mizbeach hapanimi first. Geschmack. Says the Gemara. When you go into the heichel, mizbeach paga bereisha, you're going to go ahead and hit the mizbeach hazav before you hit the menorah. Therefore, you'll clean it off before you clean out the neiros. The Tanya, shulchan b'tzafin. The shulchan was in the north of the Azara, not the Azara, of the Heichel. Mashach min ha-koisel shtei amos, off the wall 2 amis, umechza 2.5 amis, umenoyer b'dorim mashach min ha-koisel shtei amos umechza. The menorah was in the southern wall, off the wall 2.5 amos. Mizbeach mimutza v'oimed be'emtza. The mizbeach was what? Was in the middle, right? It was mimutza. It was moshach klape chutz kima, and was pulled towards the east a little bit. So therefore, you picture, I'm not fooling around with this. I don't want to mess up my picture. You have, here's the menorah, here's the menorah, here's the mizbeach, here's the shulchan, and my head's the mizbeach, right? So if you're going to walk in up my buttons, you're walking into my head first rather than this and this first. And my head is where you're taking off the ashes from. So you do that first. Fred the Gemara, why don't we just do this? And therefore, what? Why do we put my head? Where it says, because it says the shulchan has to be noyach, the menorah. You should see each other. V'nukmi lahadayu. Why don't we go ahead and shtim them all? You know, align them. It says, the menorah should be noichach, that it should be able to face the shulchan. Being the chazi adada, you need them to see each other. The only way they can see each other is you draw the mizbeach a little bit towards the east. So that's the Rav is that's Reish Lakish's din that aim avir and ala mitzvahs. Guys, geschmack, very geschmack.
Wasn't am I correct? The Mizbeach HaKetoris was shorter than both the Shulchan and the Menorah. They were higher. No,
I guess you have to. I guess you wouldn't be mafsik anything. That even part of it, right? Right. Even you can see part of it. I guess. Yeah, I think you are correct, but I think not, you have to. Neichach means opposite it totally, not just partially. That's what I would answer you. Now, Amar Rava Shmami number the Reish Lakish. We have from Reish Lakish. Avuri de ra'a atutafta asar, to pierce over the tefillin shel yad, to do the tefillin shel rosh is asar. Heichi, what should you do? Madra l'tutafta. First you should do the shel yad and then the shel rosh. Let's see Rashi here. With the Reish Lakish no me'im avir ala mitzvahs. Avuri de ra'a atutafta la'acher tefillin shebizroya b'shvil tefillin shel rosh asar, to delay putting on the shel yad before the shel rosh will be asar. The bizroya pagat chila, because when you lift up, guys, you're going to get to your arm before your head. You guys, you're lifting up, you're putting out tefillin. You don't start from above your head, you start below, so you're going to get to your hand first. That's what Rashi says. That it's also to put on the tefillin shel rosh before the tefillin shel yad. Why? Because eim avir and ala mitzvahs, and you're going to get the mitzvah shel yad before you get to the mitzvah shel rosh. Let's see Taisvos. Avuri dero atatafta pirish Rashi laniach tefillin b'rosh. It's also to put on tefillin shel rosh before the shel yad. The kamavel on mitzvahs tefillin shel yad. The paga b'reisha b'zoya kodim sheyigia l'rosh. The kasha. If you mad the iri the Reish Lakish typically before Reish Lakish typically midover perik kamitz rabbi menakas kishomaniach when you put on your tefillin meniach shel yad v'achar shel rosh. Why? Dechsev ukashartem lios al yadecha v'choda v'hoyu l'toytefas b'neinecha. Guys, the reason why you put on the tefillin shel yad first is not because eim avir and ala mitzvahs like Reish Lakish, according to Rashi. It's because the Torah says ukashartem lios al yadecha v'hayu l'toytefas b'neinecha. The Torah gives it priority. The Torah says you should put it on first, and that's why Kasha on Rashi, who's learning down from Reish Lakish. Therefore, says Taisvis, Mefarish Rabbeinu Tam b'shem Rav Haigain Zatzal, the Ari b'shosh shechoylitz tefillin umaniach b'tik. When you take off your tefillin and you put it in your tefillin zekel. Shalayaver oisan shal yad, right? V'yitneim b'chik tchila v'achach shal roish l'mayla. Then came kishayovel aniach yifka b'shal roish tchila v'yitzrich l'haver la mitzvos mishum d'shal yad v'yesh l'niach tchila. Guys, right? When you go ahead and take off your tefillin, you're taking off your tefillin shal roish and putting that in first, and then the shal yad. Why? Because if you put the shal yad in first, time it comes to put it on, then you're going to put on the rosh first. The aim avir and ala mitzvahs. So therefore, says Tosfos, what we're doing over here is accomplishing, since aim avir and ala mitzvahs is explaining why when you take off your tefillin, not when you put on your tefillin, that first you're putting the shal rosh and then the shal yad. So you won't have in the future you won't have a problem when you take it out to be mavra on the mitzvah of shal rosh to get to shal yad, which is what we all do, right? We always. But this is fascinating. Machlokes Rashi and Tosfos tucked away here in this Gemara in Yoma, right? Only the Gemara is describing the Seder Yom, and then you jump to Hilchos Tefillin. It's Gemara. Everything is it's all there. Okay, let's get this screen open again. There you go. The screen is good, right? It works well going down the line, yeah. Now we know why Disham Bizbeach Apnimi Kasafua Tavish Neras Eim Avir Ala Mitzvahs. Okay, and now we're up to Hey Vav. Says the Gemara. Tavis Chamesh Neros Koidul Medam Atamid. That concept for the Dam Atamid. This is only according to Abba Shaul, because again, according to the other Tanakama, you're going to put Ketores in here to be mafsek in the 5 and the 2. The Dam Atamid Koidul Tavish Neros. My time. What's the reason? Amar Abaya. Guys, it says by boika. It says by for the it says, guys, look, right? That's written by the Shnei Gizrei Eitzim. Now I don't need this. because I learn out that Shnei Gizrei Eitzim comes because the Machshir is Adif. And since that Machshir is for the Ketairis, it's extra now. These words, Baboika, are extra. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go ahead and play games. I'm going to play Lomdisha games. It says by the Neiros, guys, it says, Baboika Betiris and Neiros. In the morning when you go ahead and you make the Neiros. So it says 2 boikas there, right? Now I got 2 extra boikas from Shnei Gizrei Eitzim. I'm going to take one of these boikas and put it on the Hatav Shnei Neiros. That's going to give me 3. V'nasa Gimel Baboika, right? Because it says Baboika Tiris and Neiros, and I have an extra boika from Shnei Gizrei Eitzim. I'll throw it on that. I got 3. By the Dama Tamid, by the Korban Tamid, it says Es HaKevesh Echad Taseh Baboika. It only says 1 boiker. So I got 3 versus 2. So therefore, by Neiros, where it says 2 boikers, I'm going to throw on the extra boiker of Shnei Gizrei Eitzim to make it 3. By the Dama Tamid, where it only says 1, I'm going to go ahead. I only have 2. So 3 versus 2. And there's what it says it over here. The Shon Allah Chad Boiker Migizrei V'Naisim Gimel Boiker. The Shadin Allah Chad Boiker Migizrei Eitzim V'Naseh Beis Boiker. So 3 overcomes 2. Right? Geschmack. Let's see it inside. My timer. What's the reason that the 5 Neiros comes before the Dama Tamid? So I have the Baboika the Shnei Gizrei Eitzim Bleit Tzricha because the Hechsher is Adif. Shadina Lahacha, I'll go ahead and throw the Baboika on these 2 logos. Chad Shadi Latova Chamesh Neiros, the Lekami Dama Tamid, that is come before the Dama Tamid. The Chad Shadi Dama Tamid, the Nektim Latova Shnei Neiros. So guys, I'm putting these 3 over here, that this Hey should come above, and I'm putting the 1 over here on this 2, this should come before these 2. That should come before these 2. The Hocha Tilsa, the Hocha Trey. Here's 3 and here's 2. The Chad Shadil Dama Tamid, the Nekadmi Latov Shnei Neiros. Now, Afagav the Hocha Trey, the Hocha Trey. Guys, look. Here you have Dama Tamid, you have 2. For Orachel Kevsa Chatasa Baboiker, you have 1 boker. You have the extra boker from Shnei Gizrei Eitzim, which gives me 2. Hatav Shnei Neiros has its own independent 2. Baboika Mativas and Neiros. So why am I putting Dama Tamid before Hatav Shnei Neiros if it's 2 versus 2? If it's 2 versus 2, why am I going ahead and putting Dama Tamid before this one? So right, Mechaper Adif. Mechaper is Adif, and Dama Tamid is Mechaper. Mechaper Adif, Dama Tamid is Mechaper is Adif. Let's go through that last thing. That last one's like a fastball. Guys, watch. We have 2 extras baboika by this. Why do we have extra? Because it is svara. It says machshir adif, and the Shnei Gizrei Eitzim is the machshir for the ketairis. So therefore, I know this comes before this. That gives me 2 extra baboikas. By the menorah, it says baboika b'tivas and neiros. So this is menorah and this is menorah. So this has 2 and this has 2. Hey has 2 and Zion has 2. Good. If I take this baboika from here and put it on here, I got 3. If I take this boiker and put it by Dama Tamid, I only have 2 because it only has 1. V'kevesh echad taseh baboika. Good. So this has 2. This has 3. This comes first. Now, if I have the baboiker and I'm putting it on here, this has 2, and this hatav shnei neiros, this has its natural 2. It's the menorah. Baboiker tiras and neiros. The question. Why is this coming before this? Because that kapara adif, kapara is stronger. That's why kapara is stronger. That's the reason it's coming before. Amalera papa labaya. The ema chad shadri ladishim is becha panimi. The lekami damatamid the hocha tilsa the hocha trey. Okay, that's very good. This is 3 and this is 2. That I understand. The chad shadri damatamid in the kami atavas kamesh nerois. Now, why don't we go ahead and put this right? The afagav the hocha trey mechapadav and came. So in other words, why don't we go ahead? Why don't we go ahead and put this after this? Why don't we go ahead and put one more time. The aim of chad shadia l'dishim mizbeach hapnimi, the nekami l'dam atamid, the hacha tilsa v'hacha tilsa, the chad shadia l'dam atamid, put one on dam atamid, the nekadmin l'atavis chamesh neiros. Guys, put one over here, that this should be before this. In other words, right now this is in between these two. Says Rav Papa Dabaya, take this one and put it up before this. That dam atamid should come before. The afagav the hacha tray, even though it's 2 verses 2, right? Even though it's 2 verses 2, put it first. Put the dam atamid. You have that svara dam machshir, put it first. In other words, I'm going to take one bike over here, put it over here. I'm going to take one bike and put it over here. I have 2 bikers to play with, guys, right? I have these 2 bikers to play with from the Shnei Gizreitzim, right? Guys, look at the chart. Look at follow the arrow. I have these 2 to play with. Good. What I did was I put one here and one here. That made 3 and 2. What happens if I take one, put here, right? I'm putting one over here. I'm putting one over here. I'm putting one over here. And not anything over here. I'm not putting it over here. It's going to be 2 verses 2. 1 second. I'm not sure I got the right shot. I think I do. Only by the way, the aim of chad shadia l'dishim mizbeach hapnimi, one over here. Okay, the nagmid dam atamid, the hacha tilsa v'hacha tray. Okay, so good. I have this one before this one. I'm going to take one of the biker, put it over here. That this biker should come before this. So now you have 2 verses 2. I'll take the other one, put it over here. That's 2 now. I used up both. I used one for here, one for here. Now it's 2 verses 2. And you told me that dam atamid, since when it's 2 verses 2, it comes first. Over here also, it's 2 verses 2. It should come first. Again, I used the biker for this and this. So now I don't have an extra one to make this 3. So now this is 2 verses 2. Just like Vav and Zion when it was 2 verses 2. Dam took precedence because that it's mechaper. So too when I have A versus Vav, 2 verses 2, the dam atamid should come first. Then you would have all 7 simultaneously. You wouldn't have anything mafsik in between. Right? That make any sense, guys? Did I mix you? Are you guys with me? That was a little Drake cup.
What did you mean by 7 simultaneously?
In other words, right now you have 5, something in the middle, and you have 2. You have the dam atamid 2. If you're going to tell me that the dam atamid has 2 and the 5 has 2 bikers, right? They're equal. But this takes precedence, right? Because it's what it is. Mechaper. Good? So let's say I put it over here. If I put it over here, I'm going to have the 5 and the 2 together. There's nothing mafsik in between the hatavis neiros, right? There's nothing being mafsik between the hatavis neiros. That's what's going to happen, right? I have this over here now, but if I'm going to put this first because this is 2 and this is 2, then these 2 will be next to each other, which is what the Gemara is going to ask right away. Says the Gemara. So again, one more time. I'm going to papa labaya. The aim of chad shadia l'dishim mizbeach hapnimi. Use one on mizbeach hapnimi. The nekame the dam atamid that should come before the dam atamid, because the hacha tilsa there is 3 for hacha tray. The chad shadia dam atamid to make it 2. The nekame the tavis chamesh neiros. The afagav the hacha tray, even though dam atamid is 2 for hacha tray and the 5 is 2 adif, because it's what mechap is adif. And it says if suki b'mayim mafsekas lahu. Why do you give me mafsik between the 2 hatavis? You have nothing to be mafsik if the dam comes before the 5. Now, the whole reason, guys, we're doing this. Why don't we do 7 straight? The whole reason we're doing this is to go ahead, to make a rash, to make a whole big thing. That look, they're putting an avodah between these 2. It makes a whole big thing. So Reish Lakish, wait between the 2. People are going to say, why are you waiting? And they're saying, he's lighting the menorah. So to make noise, I don't necessarily need an avodah. Waiting would accomplish the same thing. So Reish Lakish is not a kasha. It's shaper. It comes out good. My iklamema. What are you going to say? You need something in between. It says baboika. I learn out, guys. Baboka. What does that mean? When you ve'tivas and eres baboika means that there should be something splitting the two boikas. So according to him, you can't obviously say that nothing's in between. Therefore, Abaya's teres papa is you need something in between, like Rabbi Yochanan. Therefore, you can't. There's no svara to say the damatamit should come before the chamesh neres, because I need something being mafsek. This whole limud was predicated upon having an extra baboika from ubirala koyin by the shnei gisrei yitzim, and kusmachshel was adif. That was predicated upon that. Mimi yasa hami boile legufei. Right, the kamarachmana the kadmu lemaracha shniya shel ketayris. I need this to tell me, as we learned, that this comes first. Uber aleha v'lecha berasa. I need the two gisrei yitzim to teach me you should do it on this one, not on this one. So how's it extra at all? It was there to teach me that the first one goes before the second. So how do I have the boika b'eka extra? Amalei v'lav miyakimna aleha v'lecha berasa. We can figure it out from here. Must be there's another one, therefore it's extra. The Shnei Gisrei Eitzim is extra. Okay, now I know, according to Rabbi Yochanan, it says baboika. I know you have to split it up. Why did you make the denomination 5 and 2? Why don't you make it 2 and 5? Why did you choose to go 5 and 2? Why don't you go 2 and 5? And for the Gemara, even the asla behu ovid beroiv. Since I began doing it, I'm going to do the majority, and 5 is the majority over 2. Fred the Gemara, if you're doing the majority, I can do a better job with the numbers. V'nebat sheish, do 6. 6 and 1 is the bigger majority. Amakro v'atibu es haneiros yaktirena. What is neiros? Neiros puchus mishtayim. In other words, I don't go to 6 and 1, even though it's a majority, but I need what? I need neiros. So therefore, I go to what? To 5 and 2. Okay, guys, look, these two comes before the Ketaris. Why is that? So it says, here it is, first do the Neiros and then the Ketaris. And that's why it comes before Ketaris. The Ketaris Leivarim, Ketaris comes before burning the Ivarim, the Tanya, Yuktam Dava Shenema Babaika Babaiker, Ladava Shenema by Ella Baiker Echad. By Ketaris, it says Babaika Yakti Rena, and it says by Evorim, it says only what? It says Bekeves Echad Tasa Babaiker. So I have 2 versus 1. I'm going to go with the 2. Evorim lemincha. Evorim come before the mincha that's associated with the carbon. The Tanya Minayin Shlo Yedava Koydem L'Tamid Shal Shachar Tamalayma V'Orach Aleha Ha'Oila. So you're going to burn this. Ha'Oila is going to be the first thing burned. You can't do any avoida on the mizbeach before it, so you can't bring the mincha before it. Okay, so therefore the mincha, which is subsidiary, nothing can come before. This guy said, look, first. Now the mincha comes before the chavitin. The mincha, as we see on the chart, comes before the carbon chavitin. Right? Why? Because it says oilu mincha. It says oilu mincha, so the oil is attached to the mincha, and therefore why? And chavitin has a shem mincha. Rashi looked at chavitin nikra mincha. It comes with the carbon tamid. The chavitin and the sachim, shum mincha, the name mincha comes first. And the sachim and the musafim is going to, Yud Gimel is going to come before Yud Dalid. Zevach and the sachim, it says zevach and the sachim, and musaf is what is part of the zevach. Mamela, it's come before musafim and masichin. The Tanya masichin kadam musafin. Well, how can you say Yud Gimel comes before Yud Dalid? We have some place that says Bazichin come before the Musaf. It says the Tanoi. It's Machlekes Tanoim between Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Yoshua in Masechta Psachim in Tamid Nishchat. Amar Rabbi Mistabek Kamad Yom Musaf and Kaidmin. Like Abaya says, it makes sense to say Yud Gimel comes before Yud Dalid. The Musaf comes before the Bazichin. Why? Lav Miyamet Baboika Lahagdim. Don't we say Baboika come first? Hachanami. It says by Yoim. Look at Rashi. By Yoim HaShabbos Yarchena. V'loshen by Yoim mashma be'or otzim hayoim v'loi b'boiker. Mashma, it should be when there's light is light and not in the morning. Therefore, it makes sense that what that's baboiker. It says baboiker. It says bayoim that you should bring the carbon musif, right? Therefore, it comes before lacha. Lahagdim musafim kalim b'zichin lam yamid baboiker lahagdim achnami bayoim. Okay, bayoim. La'acher, to go ahead and delay it. I should delay it as much as possible. So it says by Yom HaShabbos, it says it twice, by the Bezichin, to delay the Bezichin as much as possible. So therefore, Baboika, guys, is to make it earlier. By Yom is to make it later in the day. Since it says by Bezichin, by Yom, I'll make it after the Musaf where it doesn't say by Yom. Good? Then, my time Mandiyama Bezichin Kaidmin. So if that's the case, why does the Mandiyama say Bezichin comes first before the Musaf? Goma chuka mechavitim. Says Rashi. It says by Chavitin Chok Olam LaShem Kol Takdir. Bezichin Ksiv Kodesh Kodashim Hu LaShem Yishi Hashem Chok Olam. Kulim Milsakoi. V'Gamina Minei Shetagin Musafim Ksivim. In other words, since Chavitim comes first, Bezichin where it says Chok will come first. Fred Gemara Imi Hasam Gomar Gemar. If you're going to learn from this Gezer Shava. Ligma Kula Milsami Hasam. So the Bezichin should come even before the Musafim. Guys, look at the chart. Why is Yadalit coming before Musaf? Is because it says over here, it says over here by Yom. It says by Yom, therefore the Bezichin is coming later. So what's the Mandiyama who switches it around and says Bezichin comes first? That we're going to switch the split place. Bezichin is going to be in the Yud Gimel slot, and the Musaf will be in the Yadalit slot. We said because we make a Gezer Shava between Bezichin and Chavitin. Chak. So therefore it comes before the Musaf, it doesn't say Chak. Fred Gemara, so if you're going to jump one because of the Gezer Shava to Chavitin, jump two. Guys, look, Yud Beis. Chavitin, then we should say Bezichin. Because Chak is placing Bezichin before Musaf. Let's jump another step and place it before the Nesachim, because it says Chak. So it should be over here. Chavitim, then Bezichin, then Nesachim, then Musafim. As I read the Gemara. Therefore, even that Mandiyama says Bezichin can't be next to Chavitim because it says Bayom, that's La'acher to keep it what? To keep it separate. So we have a lot of Baruch Hashem. It's very geschmack. Okay, Be'ez Hashem. Guys, 9:45 or 10 tomorrow night. What works better? There's no difference.
Your call is
Okay, 9:45 then. We'll go with 9:45.
9:45, not 10.
9:45, not 10.
See you in the car.
Where are you going?